In Skyrim, 1 hour of in-game time is equal to 3 minutes of real time. Ergo, vis-a-vis, concordantly.
You know what? I have no idea what the hell I'm saying. I just thought it would make me sound cool.
24 in-game hours is equivalent to 72 minutes. The current world record glitchless speedrun was completed in 1 hour and 5 minutes. Which seems promising at first, however, I cannot use fast travel as it almost always takes longer than running to the destination, with the notable exception of dragon riding, which can transport you across the entire map in just over 20 in-game minutes. I also cannot use the wait function to restore stamina and to move NPCs because it isn't worth the time loss. When using menus and looking through inventory, time is paused, so I can take my time when looting and equipping spells and gear. I will be playing on the Anniversary Edition, on Novice difficulty, and I won't be using any major glitches or exploits. So with this knowledge, can we beat Skyrim in 24 in-game hours? As the intro plays, I can't immediately enter the menu to check the in-game time, but as soon as I can, the clock reads 7:09 AM. I'm going to assume the clock starts at 7 AM, as that would account for the time that passes where I can't check the menu.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
I arrive at Helgen and must make the single most important decision of the run. Which is the best race?
What do you mean by that?
I chose a high elf not because they have a jawline that could make Giga Chad cry, and a racial superiority complex that would make he who must not be named proud, but because they are the tallest race in the game, and because Skyrim just works, the taller you are, the faster you move. Alduin saves the day and I gain control of my character at 9:29 AM. I run up the tower and jump around Alduin so I can drop down onto the wall, then enter Helgen Keep. I sprinted to Hadvar to skip his dialogue so he can cut me loose. I grab the key and some wine which can be used to restore stamina. I take the potions from the barrel, the lockpicks from the knapsack, and loot everything from the dead mage. I swipe this coin purse and take what I can from the cart, and escape Helgen at 10:25 AM. I discover the Guardian Stones and take the Warrior Blessing to level combat skills 20% faster. I swim across the river and jump up the rocks, then parkour my way up to Bleak Falls Barrow. I solve the puzzle, fry this skeever, and take the scroll of Fireball from the table. I save Arvel only to murder him moments later and take the golden claw from his still warm corpse. I run past all the Draugr and loot this chest for a second scroll of Fireball. I use the claw to open the door, learn the word of power. I use the scrolls to kill the Draugr Overlord, take the Dragon Stone and his weapon, and I leave Bleak Falls Barrow at 12:39 PM. I head straight for Whiterun, killing this wolf along the way. I pickpocket the guard by Pelagia Farm, then submit and agree to pay my bounty, which instantly transports me to Dragon's Reach without losing any in-game time. I skip through the dialogue with Balgruuf, assault Proventus to get arrested, then pay the bounty to skip the rest of the dialogue and complete before the storm. I give the Dragonstone to Farengar, buy the Bound Sword spell, then sell everything else I don't need. I get arrested again to skip more dialogue. Balgruuf sends me to slay a dragon, and I leave Dragon's Reach at 2:14 PM. I sell everything else to Balafor until I have 1,000 gold.
Everything's for sale, my friend.
I stop by the Whiterun stables and purchase a horse, which is the fastest mode of transport available to me. I ride to the Western Watchtower and speak to the guard inside, which triggers the fight with Mermolnir.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
I use the ancient technique of spin to win, and get a sick kill cam which looks cool but costs me time.
This is taking too long! I'm gonna miss the farmer's market!
I loot his corpse, devour his soul,
Wow, that is delicious. Finally. some good fucking food.
And begin the journey to High Hrothgar. I discover Riverwood along the way, and just off the eastern path I use my horse's expert mountaineering abilities to scale the slopes and begin my ascent of the throat of the world. I reach High Hrothgar at 4:36 PM. I shout at Arngeir to skip his dialogue, then use the Greybeards to level my one-handed skill.
That's a challenging wank.
I learn the second word of Unrelenting Force and the first word of Whirlwind Sprint. Master Wulfgar flexes on me.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
I assert my dominance, then Arngeir sends me to find the horn of Jürgen Windcaller. I leave High Hrothgar at 6:27 PM and begin my descent down the mountain.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost. The comrades I've lost won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you? I'm gonna make him give back our past.
After traumatizing my horse for life, we finally made it to the bottom of the mountain. My path to Bustengrav took me through the mountain pass at Labyrinthian, where we were assaulted by the local wildlife. I passed through the swamps of Morfall and parked my horse just outside Bustengrav. I ran past the enemies inside, dropped down the ledge to skip most of the dungeon, then dropped down again to learn the Become Ethereal shout. I used Whirlwind Sprint to get through the gates, only to discover that the horn has already been taken. I leave Bustengrav at 9:38 PM, then start the journey back to Riverwood. The wolves molested my horse.
No, don't do it!
Back in Riverwood, I rented the attic room from Delphine, take everything of value from her room, and she sends me on my way to Kynesgrove. I duke this wolf, only for my horse to be sodomized by wolves twice in retaliation for my disrespect. We finally make it to Kynesgrove, with one of us significantly sorer than the other. I loot the dead Stormcloaks, hoping to find an amulet of Talos, but no luck this time. Alduin resurrects Salohknir, but I jump him as soon as he leaves his burial mound, so he doesn't have a chance to fly away. I put him back in his grave, then loot his corpse like some kind of demented grave robber, only to find Delphine hiding behind this rock. I leave Kynesgrove at 2:46 AM and head north to Winterhold, where the wolves had their way with my horse.
You can't keep getting away with it!
I assault the guard patrolling the Whistling Mine and I let him arrest me, which transports me to Winterhold's jail. I make a quick save, then pick the lock to my cell and escape. Septimus Ignis' outpost is a short walk away, and inside I pickpocket Septimus to get the attunement spear and the blank lexicon. Once I leave, I immediately fast travel back to the outpost, which only takes a few minutes in game, and teleports my horse. Which begs the question of how does my horse know where to find me? But my horse wasn't the only one who knew my location. The wolves were back and were growing bolder, opting for a frontal assault. In the distance I thought I saw my saviour, but no. He had killed the wolf so he could have my horse for himself. Thankfully, a nearby goat sacrificed himself to satisfy the barbarian's lust. At 5:31 AM we reached the dwarven ruins of Alftund. I unlock the Become Ethereal shout using Salohknir's soul, which lets you sprint infinitely and take no damage while the shout is active. As usual, I run past the enemies and take a leap of faith to skip most of the dungeon. I use the attunement spear to open the door to Blackreach, and the blank lexicon to solve the puzzle in the Tower of Mazark. I take the Elder Scroll, but the time is now 7:28 AM, and I failed the challenge.
諦めんなよ。諦めんなお前。どうしてそこでやめるんだ、そこで。もう少し頑張ってみろよ。ダメ、諦めたら。周りのこと思えよ。応援してる人たちのこと思ってみろって。あともうちょっとのところなんだから。俺だってこのマイナス10度のところ、しじみが取れるって頑張ってんだよ。絶対やってみろ。必ず目標達成できる。だからこそ、Never give up!
But could I beat the challenge in 48 hours? I take the lift to the surface, but to my surprise, this doesn't discover the location of the tower. So I discover Stonehill's Bluff, which I fast travel to spawn my horse. Delphine told me her plan to infiltrate the Thalmor Embussy, so I made my way to Solitude, but this didn't stop the wolves from violating my horse. I parked my horse on the riverbank, swam across to the Solitude docks, and assaulted this guard to teleport inside the city. I commit a hate crime on an innocent civilian, then enter the Winking Skeever to find Malborn. I give him everything I might need in the embassy, then escape the inn. Because I aggroed the guards, Rogvir gets executed off-screen, and I loot him for his Amulet of Talos for better shout cooldown. I get arrested again so the guards don't chase me. I run to Katla's farm to find Delphine, then board the carriage to the embassy. I use Razalan to cause a distraction, then slip away with Malborn unnoticed. I loot the chest to get my belongings and reacquire my drip. Inside Alanwin's Solar, I loot this chest for the key to the dungeon. I read the dossier on Esbern, which spawns the guards that I kill to get the trapdoor key. I escape through the trapdoor and leave the embassy at 1:07 PM. I fast travel to the embassy to spawn my horse, and immediately head for Riverwood. I give my horse Vietnam flashbacks, and the wolves give him an unwanted colonoscopy. I return to Riverwood at 4:20 PM. I pick up the rest of my gear and Delphine sends me on my way to Riften. On the way I made the shocking discovery that the wolves have evolved to become semi-aquatic ambush predators. Truly fascinating behaviour. I arrive at Riften and assault the guard to skip his dialogue and to teleport to Mistveil Keep. Inside the Ratway, I use Whirlwind Sprint to clear the bridge. I find Esben, who willingly opens his door to the literal personification of the very people who despise him. We escape the Ratway and begin a new life together, free from hatred and persecution. If only that was true. Instead, we left Riften, and along the way I saw the wolves engage in gang violence against an innocent fox. As a witness to their crime, my horse became their next victim. I return to Riverwood for what feels like the millionth time, and I enter and exit the Sleeping Giant Inn repeatedly to skip through Delphine and Esbern's dialogue.
Hello there.
I leave the inn at 11:27 PM and start the journey to the Karthspire. The wolves defiled my big horse's ass on 3 separate occasions, but together we eventually made it to the Karthspire camp. I assisted Delphine and Esbern in exterminating the indigenous population and cleared the way so they can reach Skyhaven Temple. I gave blood for the blood god, claimed the Dragonbane sword for myself, and shoulder charge Esbern and Delphine to skip their dialogue. I must now return to High Hrothgar, so I fast travel to the Karthspire to spawn my horse. Along the way I witnessed the Skyrim space program. The wolves did not care for technological progress. I used the same route as I did earlier to climb up the throat of the world, and I reached High Hrothgar at 7:04 AM, and I failed the challenge for a second time. But could I beat the challenge in 72 hours? I spoke to Arngeir, learned the final word of Unrelenting Force, and I tasted the Greybeard's voice for myself. As a reward for my hard work, Arngeir taught me the Clear Skies shout, and instead of following the intended path, I used my horse to discover the throat of the world. I meet Parthenax, who teaches me the Fire Breath shout. I read the Elder Scroll at the Time Wound and travelled back to the past, Samurai Jack. I learned the Dragonrend shout. Gormlaith got absolutely fucking destroyed. I went back to the future. Used the Dragonrend shout on Alduin. Equipped Dragonbane and the Bound Sword. I levelled up and put both perk points into Armsman for more damage. I beat the shit out of Alduin and used the Dragonrend shout to keep him grounded. I almost died, but a few healing potions saved the day. And I finally defeated Alduin at 12:28 PM. The next step of our plan is to capture a dragon, so Party Snack sends me to speak with Jarl Borlin. I begin my descent down the mountain, then assault the guard in Riverwood to teleport to Dragon's Reach. Balgruuf won't let me use his palace to trap a dragon, unless the Greybeards arrange a peace meeting to stop the civil war. So off I went back up the same fucking mountain. Arngeir agreed to the peace meeting and sent me to personally inform Ulfric and Tullius. Once again I descended the throat of the world. I travelled to Solitude and got arrested on the docks. I paid my fine, which puts me right outside Castle Dower. I convinced General Tullius to attend the meeting, and then it was off to Windhelm. I got arrested and paid my fine to teleport to the Palace of the Kings. Ulfric agreed to join the meeting, and at 9:45 PM I got back on my horse and began the final journey to High Hrothgar. With less than 28 minutes to beat the game in under 72 hours, I knew I couldn't take the safe route to High Hrothgar at Riverwood. I had to play it risky. So I climbed the eastern slopes of the Throat of the World, where I learned that snow isn't real. And I made it to High Hrothgar at 11:47 PM. I took my seat at the Jedi Council and was awarded the rank of Master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair.
Delphine just had to take her sweet time, and I was forced to sit through over 8 minutes of dialogue.
I love democracy.
Esben taught me the cool dragon shout, and Delphine got what she deserved. For the final time, thank Talos, I descended the Throat of the World. I assault the guard at Riverwood to fast travel to Dragon's Reach. Then wake up Balgruuf to tell him I'm about to summon a fire-breathing dragon into his palace made of wood. I call Odahviing before I enter the balcony so he appears more quickly. I use myself as bait to lure him into the trap, then exit and enter the balcony to trap him instantly. Odahviing agrees to fly me to Skuldafn, and we arrive at 4:36 AM. I whirlwind sprint myself off the ledge and parkour my way up the side of the mountain. I use whirlwind sprint again to reach the side of the temple, which lets me skip the entire dungeon. I run into the portal and enter Racist Heaven. I defeat Soon so I can cross the bridge, then enter the Hall of Valor to team up with the heroes of old. I use the Clear Skies shout 3 times to force Alduin into battle. I use my spin to win technique to great effect. The World Eater is finally defeated. Soon sends me back to Skyrim, and I appear atop the Throat of the World at 7:15 AM. And I did not beat Skyrim in less than 24 in-game hours. But I did beat it in 72 hours and 15 minutes. This was far from a perfect run. In fact, I compared the segments of this run that followed the World Record Speedrun, and on average I was around 1.86 times slower. From this I can conclude that a sub 48 hour run is absolutely possible for someone with the skill level of a world record speedrunner, and that's not even accounting for the time save in the parts of the run which deviate from the world record route to fit the rules of this challenge, though a sub 24 hour in-game time is almost certainly impossible. But that's all from me for today. Thank you for watching. Be seeing you.
Run while you still can! Ah.